Everybody, welcome to This Board Game Life, episode number 87, titled Dueling Games. This is the show about board games, card games, any kind of games that we want to talk about. I am one of your fine hosts for today. My name is Rob, and with me, as always, I don't know if you're left or right of me. I haven't quite figured out how this video thing works, but you're that way.
I'm wanting
And
to point this way, but in my camera, you're over here. You're over
well,
there.
you're pointing at my window. I'm the way I see it. I'm on the left. Are you on the left or are you on the right? Where you
I'm
see
on
yourself?
my left on my screen.
Okay, so I see how it is. So we're both on the left. It's like those games like Clash Royale where everybody is the same color and the opponent is always a different color. So we can both be left. But anyway,
right.
one of us will eventually be left, the other will be right. And then if you haven't figured out by now, that is my good buddy Mark, the co-host with the most. Maybe that's my title as well.
Yeah, we can both be the co-hostess with the mostest.
Yeah, we definitely can. So today's title is Dueling Games, which we'll get into in a little bit. Did you want to say anything real quick before we get on with the shoe?
Just to be sure to check out our YouTube page. I've been posting a lot of stuff on our YouTube page. Actually, just this morning, I posted a 2-hour playthrough of Mass Effect, the board game Priority Hagalaz, and I did it last night. I did a loyalty mission in that game, and I decided I'm going to go ahead and record this and see how this turns out. So I think it turned out really well, and I had a fun time with the game. So if you want to know what it's kind of like, but it is a campaign game, so I have a big spoiler alert warning at the beginning. But there's the story in it is the weakest part. I think it's all about the combat. I mean, there's a little bit of story stuff you read in these things, but it's not like you're ruining anything,
Yeah.
But if you want to kind of see it played, that's available, as well as our video podcast.
Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people, I'll take my son, for instance. I don't know if he really plays games fresh, new, doesn't know what's going on. He'll actually watch somebody on YouTube play like the entire game and then he'll play it. You know what I mean? It's like, so then you're not experiencing anything like yourself brand new because you already know what's going to happen. And maybe some of our listeners are that way too. They'll watch the entire thing being played and then they'll play the game and know what's going on. It will be spoiled.
That's true. Could be.
Yes.
So, but yeah, check out our YouTube page and like and subscribe. Give me some thumbs up. Let me know. Let me know what you think.
Throw them some comments.
Be nice. Please be nice.
Yes. No. Be kind.
I'm trying my best.
Yep.
So.
But yeah, as Mark had mentioned, you can check us out on the YouTubes. So we've got our This Board Game Life YouTube channel where he's putting up a whole ton of content, the open boxings, the unboxings, the playthroughs and, any other stuff that we're excited about. And then also, of course, we've got the audio podcast and reviews. And also check out our website, thisboardgamelife.com, where you can find everything in one place. All right. So what have you been playing lately? Why don't you give it a go?
All right. So I got to play Arcs. This is that Leader Games space combat opera. I did play it again.
That's the makers of Root, right?
Yes.
Leader. Yeah.
And it's I still don't know how I feel about this game. I played it a couple times. I think I like it but I'm still on the fence about it. It's
Mhm.
just, yeah, I think I'm gonna need to play it, and I've got several people in my group that have it, so I've got opportunities to play it. So um, I'll need to get a couple more plays in, but it has been interesting. I think it's just a heavier, I'm starting to push into some heavier games than what I'm normally used to, and I think that's just it's more uncomfortable for me to do, and I just need more experience and time playing these games, trying to learn some of the intricacies of them. So that will come. I also I picked up a new Codenames game. I picked up Codenames Duet, and I've played this quite a few times in the last 2 weeks. Really do enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, and it's a nice. It's Codenames, but it's a two-player version. So with only one child left at home who doesn't really enjoy games, I was like, I know he liked Codenames when we played it in groups. So I'm like, let me see if he'll play this with me, and he did. And and then my mother actually enjoyed it a lot. We played this one together as well several times. So
Mhm.
that's always good to find games that are good across all age ranges and gamer experience.
Exactly.
Also, I played Port Royal. Finally got to get this one to the table. This is a
Nice.
really,
This
really
one
fun game.
right there.
Huh?
Look at the my
Oh,
video. See,
sorry.
it's
Yeah,
right
that one.
there.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
pointing to it.
right there.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's the big box.
Yep, that's the one I've got. And I've only played the base game. I haven't touched the expansions, but I really enjoy it. I really do like it a lot.
Yeah.
And I am really looking forward to get this. This will be one of those I probably take to my group quite a bit. It'll probably just be like one of my permanent keep this in the bag. But it's not a short game. That's the thing. It's not
Yeah.
a short game. It's not like some others like Scout. You can tend to kind of run through fairly quickly, but um, it is really fun, and it's very easy to teach. So
And the original Port Royal came in a tiny little box. So the big box version comes in a big box, of course. And
you
you
don't
could
say.
yeah, you could probably fit, I don't know, maybe like at least 10 of the original game inside that box. So in terms of for playability, and it would normally like what go like an hour at least, right? For the base game. You think that's fair? Like
I,
45 minutes to an hour
I think that's right.
with a
Yeah.
couple people? Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing like how much game you can get in such a small form factor. Although the big box kind of wipes that out, and it does add a lot because it's a couple expansions. I forgot exactly how many, but I don't know if those are even necessary just because
I
the
don't
base
know.
game is fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, we talked about that before about buying
Hmm.
that expansion and then never playing the expansions.
Yeah. Or
So
buying a big box and never playing the
yeah,
expansions.
exactly. So next up, I played more Survival of the Fattest. I have a group that there's a group of four of us that'll play usually on Mondays each week, and this has surprisingly become a very desired to play game in the group.
Oh, wow.
And this is a group that plays um, Raiders of the North Sea, Power Grid, Great Western Trail, some pretty heavier weight games. And Survival of the Fattest is not a heavyweight game, but it says a lot, I think, about that game that people who really do like heavier stuff find enough strategy and different they like the asynchronous play of the characters that they want to keep playing. So, and it's a cutesy game, but with a lot of replayability and strategy involved. I did get to play Ancient Knowledge. Now this one is one I picked up, and I have not played. I did it myself. I played it just like with 2 players out, just trying to learn. You know how you do when you get a new game,
Yeah,
you want to learn it. You're playing as like 2 people, and you're just trying to learn. So that's my experience with it. And it's like, okay, this is a good game. I enjoy
actually,
this.
you know what I call that? Basically, learning it by yourself is how to open up the possibility of playing a game a second time with your gaming group.
Yeah,
Because if you're learning for the first time when you're playing, yeah, you'll never see that game again because everybody's going to give it a thumbs down.
yeah, good point. So I got that one out and really enjoyed it. Really do like it. So that's I hope to see this one. I'm gonna push. This is one I'm gonna take with every week till I can get my group to play some. Got to play Dead of Winter, a Crossroads game this last week.
Okay.
This was a fantastic game. Now, I will say this: I love Zombicide. I really do. And this game kind of reminds me of Zombicide, but it's not there's obviously some very big differences, but it still kind of has that just the swarming hordes of zombies and the kind of the stress, but adds in like the whole survival factor. Like you gotta, you take a couple of hits and you're out. You're trying to find stuff and survive, and you can get overrun pretty easily, and you're out trying to find supplies and do different things. So it was really a fun game to learn, and it was not that hard to learn. And I love that there's so many different characters in the game that do different things and provide different abilities. And it's just like there's so many characters in this game. I don't know if he bought a whole bunch of extras or if there's just that many in the base game, but there was a ton of characters in the game. So we had opportunities to play just a wide variety, and I like that as you're playing, you can find more survivors and bring them in, and now you're playing with more and more people and more abilities in front of you, and it was really interesting. And that type of having different characters all the time that you can continue to bring in under your control, like really will change every gameplay you do because you're never going to have the same combination of characters. So it's going to make every game very different. Also, we played some Welcome to, and as that was right after our Dead of Winter game, we did a nice little palate cleanser, if you will,
Hmm.
of Welcome
That's
to.
the original.
The original, yep.
Okay.
Then I played some Dice Throne Santa versus Krampus. I got to play more Alhambra, which is a great game. And then I got 2 more here. So both of these were new to me this week. One of them is an older game called Love Letter. And I
Oh yeah.
actually took this with my group of 4 last night. And it was funny because it was like, I was like, hey, you guys want to play some of these new games I got in? Stamp Swap behind me is one of them. Mass Effect, which is sitting here on the table in front of me from my playthrough. It was another one. And then the response was, no, we don't want to learn anything new. So we're going to play the cow game. And I was like, what the heck is the cow game? And it turns out it was either Great Western Trail or Raiders of the North Sea.
Ah,
And I'm
cow
like,
game.
I've never played Great Western Trail. And so I was like, oh, you don't want to learn something new, but you're
That's
going to
not a
make
light
me learn
game.
something new, right?
Yeah.
So I took Love Letters. It's a little tiny little thing, and I took it with me, threw it in my coat pocket, and I'm like, we're gonna play this. So, and we were at a restaurant. We usually meet at a restaurant, and we ordered our food and we sat there and played Love Letter while we waited for our food, and that was a fun game. They really dug that too. The whole. And I'm not one for deduction games, but this is one I really got on board. And I got to say this. I'm going to brag a little bit. So we were playing to 3 to get the 3 little not tokens, anyways, I forgot what they're called. Favors. So it's like you get a favor from the princess, right?
Yep.
So it's a little token. So whoever gets 3 of those, first to 3 would win. So we started out, and by by time now, before I won my first round, 2 of the players had already had 2 favors, and another person had 1. I had none. So it wasn't looking good for the home team. I went on to win the next 3 rounds in a row to win the entire game. So I was very happy about that.
Very
They
nice.
weren't. They weren't.
Yeah, they'll get over it.
All right, and then the last thing, what I mentioned earlier about I did my playthrough. I've got to play some Mass Effect, the board game Priority Hagalaz this week, and I am really, really enjoying this game. If you are familiar with Star Wars: The Mandalorian Adventures, also sitting behind me, it's very similar to that, as in you have a book that you lay out in front of you, and on one side it's like giving you the mission and some mission specific differences from, you have your kind of base game and how it plays, and then there's going to be specific things for each mission. So, and then on the right hand side is the map. That's the board that you're playing on. So you're moving your standees and stuff around over there, and and that one has cards. Now this game is a little bit different, as you're not going page to page. You get a campaign map and you're selecting kind of how you want to do your missions, and then you flip in the book to the correct one. And it's an ongoing campaign, trying to see after the end of, you can do like up to 5 missions, but you can do it as little as 3 by doing just the 3 main missions. And then there's 2 loyalty missions that if you want to do a loyalty mission to try to and if you're successful in a loyalty mission with one of your companions that are in the game, then they get an additional skill unlocked for the remainder of the game. And you go through this, and and you've got to see at the end of the game if you have enough war readiness to win. And right now, let me just I'll show this since we are on video. So this is my map, and I started down here. I did this mission. I came up, did a loyalty. Then I chose to come over here to do this one, and you get options. Came up, I did this loyalty, and my last one's going to be this mission up here. And then so far I've got marked down here. I'm only about 1 over halfway on my mission readiness, and I only got 1 mission left. So I don't know if I'm going to win, but I've won all but 1 loyalty mission. So it's interesting. I'm looking forward. Tonight I plan to finish my last mission in my campaign and see where I end up. I'm hoping to I've done enough, because I've only lost 1 mission. It was a loyalty. So, but the game it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy this. You do have miniatures for your characters, and
Hmm.
instead of having a card deck like the Mandalorian does, you have a character sheet that has unlockable skills. You're tracking health, and you're tracking health and shields up here, and then all these other things is like their abilities. And then as you're going, and they kill a certain amount of enemies or gain XP in the game, then they get unlocks, and you get to pick which character's skill that you get to unlock, and then that carries forward through the rest of the campaign. And I really like that. That's a lot of fun. And there's a total of 5 characters in the game. So you always are going to play as Commander Shepard. He's always in the game, he or she, because there's, if you remember in the video game, there was a male and a female version of Commander Shepard. So they have those on that card. And then you've got 4 other characters that you can pick, 3 of which to take on a mission. So you always have 4 people going. So even if you play solo, which I'm doing right now, you have to control 4 characters. There's always 4 characters in the game. But it's challenging, but it's been a lot of fun. I am really enjoying this a lot, and looking forward to getting this into my group. It looks like we're going to play it Wednesday. I've got people
Very
on
cool.
board and are interested. So I want to finish my mission tonight, and then because then I'll wipe all the skills and everything and the experience off the boards, and I will then get to play as just one character, and it'll be a lot better because you'll even notice if you watch the video I did yesterday. Oh, I forgot, like one of my guys got downed, and then I was like, oh wait, Shepard can use a command ability so that they take no damage, and so I had to kind of backtrack. Just it was quick, I realized it, but it's like when you got so many different skills, it's hard to like really focus on what you're doing when you're managing 4 different people. So it'll be fun to play as just one character. But
Easier, more
yes,
straightforward. Yep.
but that's what I have been playing the last 2 weeks. So I am happy to see that. Looks like you got some games to the table
Yeah.
as well.
I had a little get together that the hosts that had the get together basically bullied me into bringing some games. I resisted. They twisted my arm a little bit, and then I showed up with a truck full of games. no, no, but yeah, there was a bunch of folks that weren't really into games over there, so we had about 5 people that were going to be playing. So it was kind of a tough little thing to do because I couldn't really bring anything too meaty, and at the same time, I needed to support 5 people, which a lot of games a little challenging because some games top out at 4. But the first game that we played was Costa Rica. So this is a game that came out some time ago, and I forgot the company that makes it. I don't remember where I put the game. I was going to look at it real quick, but yeah, it's a interesting, lightish game where you're trying to collect different sets of animals while you're exploring the jungles of Costa Rica. So you're basically working your way through the jungle, which is it's a hexagon of these tiles. So it's like a hexagon with each side being 5 tiles. And you're trying to collect sets, but it is a press your luck game, very similar to Port Royal. So you don't want to, go too far and you wind up with nothing, but at the same time, you want to try to get as many animals as you can. So that was a lot of fun, and that went over pretty well for the most part with the group. And then we played Deep Dive, which is a fun game from Gen Con last year, so 2023. And AEG released that one and actually played it at the big game night that they had over there. And that's when I fell in love with the game. This is another press your luck game where you're penguins diving deep into the waters of wherever you're at, trying to collect food and trying to avoid predators and trying to score as many points as you can, because the deeper that you dive, the more points that the yummy, delicious food is. So that was another press your luck game, and it was very well received. And most importantly, I had a great time playing it. So, in the end, that's all that matters.
Yep.
And then lastly, there's GPS. So GPS is a re-implementation of the game Finito. If you remember that one, you and I played it on this board game LifeCon 2024. So that
I
was the one that had these boards numbered like 1 through 20 or whatever it was, and then you had, I don't remember if you have, no, I think we put them all face down. There were these little discs numbered 1 through 12, I believe. And then you had to place them out on the board and then eventually make them numeric.
Oh yeah, I do remember that was good.
No, I got to look at it again. It's been a while since I played it. Actually, the last time we played was
Last February.
yeah.
But this GPS looks nothing like that.
No, it does not. So I take that back. The oh yeah. So it comes with a 20-sided die. Then there's a board with 1 through 20 spots on it, but there's more than 20 spots. There's what, six? This is 36 spots altogether. So some are doubled up, like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, etc. Are all, there's two of those. But anyway, you roll the die and then it tells you where you need to put your next piece. And then in the end, you're just moving stuff around, trying to make it all numeric. So GPS takes basically that same concept and it uses a spinner. So there's no die. And if you have a spinner, which, like, there's, let's say, like an arrow, which is a spaceship. So it's pointy, like the SpaceX Starship. It's not rounded, it's pointed. Is if some of you might get that. Anyway, it points at a certain area, and then wherever it points, that's where you need to place one of your satellites. And your satellites have the numbers 1 through 12 on them. And I'm mixed on GPS. I really like Finito. It's fun. It's quick. It's classic, abstract. I mean, no, it's just a fun little puzzle game, basically.
Right.
GPS has this spinner, which is like this massive spinner. And the version, so let me backtrack here. So initially, I guess the spinner didn't spin very well. So what they did is they recommended that people get a little ball bearing and you put it in it because the spinner is like two pieces, one on top of another. So you put a ball bearing in between and then you spin it and it spins freely. So the version that I got direct from Allplay, it came with that ball bearing, which I do appreciate. So it spins very easily. And I mean, maybe it's because I go to the gym a lot or something like that, or my superhuman strength. But I spin that freaking thing and you're sitting there for like 20 seconds waiting for that thing to stop. And that's really annoying. Like it spins too well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that really got to me. I don't know if it bothered anybody else, but I'm like, really? And then I started just spinning it just a little bit instead of just giving it like a really good spin. You know, like some stuff, like
Right.
what, Price is Right? You got that big wheel, you want to spin it really good. Yeah, that wheel would spin for like half an hour if you did it the same way. But anyway, so that was a minor annoyance. So, you know, it fixed one thing, but it kind of made something else a little annoying, at least for me personally. But it does have the same feel as Finito, just where, you know, you place all your satellites in the various spots wherever the ship is pointing. You spin it again, place your satellites again. If that spot is taken, you place either to the left or to the right, the next available spot where you don't have one of your spaceships. And then once you place all 12, then you start moving stuff around, just like Infinito, trying to get your satellites in orientation before anybody else. So a very interesting reimplementation of Finito. I do have to say I kind of prefer Finito just because it's simple and you don't have to deal with the spinner. However, looking at BGG, there are some people that have like worked to you know, solve some of the issues. So one of the interesting things that I saw was somebody made this little three-piece ring that goes around the GPS board. So it sits on the outside and it's got the numerics basically of Finito. So it's like 36 different spots, you know, 1 through 20. And then so you print that out, you put it around the board and then use a die, a 20-sided die. So it basically converts GPS into pseudo Finito. So so that was interesting. But yeah, a decent game, interesting implementation. I think Finito's like impossible to find nowadays, so you know
Yes.
it's a good substitute. But yeah, that's about it for me. I think just those three. That's about it.
Cool.
All right.
So, how can people
Yes.
contact us, Rob?
Oh, that's a good question.
Can they do that?
Oh, let me count the ways. There are so many. So you can send us an email to contact at this board game life .com, or you can go to our website. You can actually leave us a voicemail on there where we can, play your voicemail on the show. If you want to, ask us questions or make comments to the community, we have a guild, this board game life on BGG. And then, definitely leave comments on the YouTube videos. We definitely appreciate those as well. Did I leave anything out? I think that's most of it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So news time. You want to hit this first one?
Sure. So this one, it looks like Asmodee is separating from Embracer Group,
Yep.
and they are now going to be their own company, charting their own way. And they, let's see, the CEO Thomas Kogler has basically said that they have more than 20 acquisitions in the pipeline
Oh,
that they
geez.
are planning. Now they've done this in the past, so the article is saying that their previous buying spree, they acquired more than 40 companies and IPs
Yeah.
over the last decade, including over 20 game studios, including big names like Days of Wonder, Fantasy Flight Games, Lookout Games, Catan Studio, and Z-Man Games. So, Asmodee is going after it. They got plans to acquire a lot more in the near future, and I don't know, Rob. What I acquisitions I think can be good if a company's doing really well and they're putting the money in to strengthen all these game publishers and developers and whatnot. Not publishers, I guess. Asmodee is the publisher, but buying up all these studios and putting the money there to allow them to keep continuing, it can open more doors and bring them some more money. At the same time, I worry because sometimes when you become too big, you can maybe hold back that money, or now maybe you're trying to dictate what you want to go out the door. And games like companies like, say, Catan or Z-Man, or these ones I mentioned, Days of Wonder, sometimes that the charm and the games that they're creating sometimes can get changed because of the parent company says, we want you to do it this way. So I do worry that maybe some of those types of things might lose, some of those studios might lose their charm. Maybe not. I mean, Days of Wonder seems to be doing very well. I think all of these that I mentioned are still doing very well, but there's I think there's always that risk. But what do you think about Asmodee going on a buying spree?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, you have, let's say, smaller publishers that come up with some really good games and then they get caught in the crosshairs, right? Of like, oh, we want to get acquired and, make a huge windfall, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I imagine that, being a small company, it'd be awesome to be bought out for a couple million or something, even a couple 100,000, whatever the case might be. That can, however, change the company like forever, because the people that are part of the company that made it what it is don't always stay. Sometimes they get pushed out. The companies change as a whole. Like, as an example, Z-Man Games, which has been around forever. Um, Zev, the the guy who started it and is the Z in Z-Man, I guess. He got bought out by, I think it was it was a company in Canada. Ultimately, anyway, he stayed on for a little while and then he moved on to his kids. So Z-Man is technically Z-Man, but it's not Z-Man because Zev's not a part of it anymore. Is that good or bad? I don't know. But, when these companies do get picked up, when they do get bought out or acquired, that can bring in change and that might not necessarily be a good thing because sometimes companies get bought out just for intellectual property, right?
Mm-hmm.
They get bought out just because they have a solid hit and it's going to have maybe hundreds of thousands of sales in the next couple of years. And then lots of companies get bought up and then they kind of get run into the ground. So there's good and bad with it. But it's interesting to see that they're looking to acquire so many. You know, there was a time where there was always like every week, oh, this and this company got bought up by Asmodee. This company got bought up. This company got bought up. And, it stopped for a while, but looks like it might restart soon. Now, on the flip side, having a being a publisher of games is tough. A lot of people don't do it as a full-time job. They do it as like a part-time gig. They have a regular 9 to 5 job. They're doing stuff on the side, and maybe having a larger company as a parent company will let them do things that they normally couldn't do, right?
Yeah.
So, or maybe like to devote full time to that company as opposed to doing it part time. So, there's good and bad. I don't know if there's been any huge train wreck with Asmodee, at least that I can think of right now on the spot.
Yeah. Well, there's
But
some more interesting statistics
yeah,
in this article. They said that there was this report that came out, and they were saying that North America and Europe make up 75% of the world's tabletop market, with 60% of the overall total coming from just 4 countries. Um, the U.S., Germany, France, and UK is making up 60% of the 75% of the world's market. So,
wait, what were those countries again?
U.S.,
Okay.
Germany,
Yep.
France, and the UK.
Okay.
And then let's see, Simon Vivian, the chief company programs officer at Asmodee, noted during a capital markets presentation that hobby gamers only make up between 5 and 10% of the overall game playing audience, with between
Really?
50 and 60% focused on family weight games such as Ticket to Ride.
Hmm.
That surprised me.
Oh yeah.
Now,
I,
while the let's see, but while the CAGR, what the heck is that? But while something for family games was largely flat in the 2 years before the pandemic, more complex hobby games grew between 22 and 24% and have the highest projected numbers for 2028. So they're projecting the hobby market, I guess, to grow drastically. And then the CEO here, Kogler, he said, now he's become the company's first new CEO in 12 years, just this past September. He said he wanted Asmodee itself to become a renowned brand with consumers rather than just a corporate home for its studios. He said it's a project that's very dear to his heart, and until now, Asmodee has remained a corporate B2B brand. It's time to make it a consumer-facing brand complementary to our fan beloved products and studio brands, but having Asmodee as a strong consumer brand will serve as a seal of quality, improve recommendation across products, across studio brands, across play types, leading to more sales. So
Interesting.
that's, yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe hobbyists are like, what would you say, 5 to 10%, something like that? It's
Yeah.
tiny.
Yeah, 5 to 10% of the overall game is hobby gamers.
But you know what? We make up that small quantity by buying a lot of games.
We may, yeah, we probably purchased 90% of the games.
Exactly.
I'm sure I'm
5%.
pulling in. I'm sure I'm pulling in 5 to 10% of purchases just myself,
I know, right?
and you're doing another equally 5 to 10.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, because you figure, mainstream folks, what do they buy? Like a couple of games a year, if that,
yeah,
a couple a week, a couple a day. Depends on the day.
yeah.
Oh boy.
So, well, that's all
Interesting.
the news
Yeah.
I had. I just thought that
Okay.
was interesting, and I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I see good potential,
Yeah.
but I guess I do worry sometimes. I don't subscribe to acquisitions are bad, but I see good and bad on both sides.
Right.
Because
Oh yeah.
sometimes if you get too big, then you can squash some of these little startups. And I guess that's what the Kickstarters and game founds of the world are. It can help, but it can still be a tough run to get yourself into the
Hmm.
market, especially if you're trying to get into retail and
Yeah.
you're just slammed by the monster. So I'm not saying Asmodee is a monster. I'm just, by the big guys, the man.
There is one advantage to them buying up all these companies, and that's when we go to Gen Con, all the games are in one area, like that you want to buy, right? So you go into like the Asmodee shopping area and just load up. It's like
there,
surgical strike, one stop shop.
there you go.
Yeah, I had only two quick things to mention. So, Cascadia is a hit from a couple years ago. I think it was Spiel des Jahres winner, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was like
Yes.
2 years ago, 3 years ago. So anyway, they're coming out with Cascadia Junior. So we got Cascadia Roland Rights. I say rights because it's plural because there's two of them, maybe more. And now there's Cascadia Junior. So, it's a 2 to 4 player game, ages 6 and up, and it plays quick. So, a junior game, it's also maybe good for lunch too, or with your friends that don't like long games. Who knows? But I thought it's pretty cool. And then we haven't seen anything from Splendor in quite a while. So this is a game came out like 10 years ago and it had like 1 or 2 expansions. Well, wait no more. They've got a new expansion coming out 2 days ago, approximately. I just had to look at the calendar. It's called The Silk Road. So it's a pair of expansions for the game. Actually, yeah, it looks like it did come out 10 years ago. Time flies while you're having fun playing games.
Yeah.
So with the first one, you're replacing the noble tiles with new city tiles. So you can compete to gain prestige, or you can add trading posts, which award bonuses during play. So nice thing about one of these is it's a little teeny tiny expansion, only $17 MSRP. So hopefully you'll find it a little bit cheaper. But yeah, you can look for this thing at a store near you.
Cool.
So that is it for the news for today. And then yeah, news flash. So we can get on with the topics or the topic for this. And, this kind of delves a little bit into Cascadia Junior and other games like it because there seems to be a lot of companies that are like following a similar trend and that's where they're coming out with, after like a game is a hit, they come out with duet,
Mhm.
duel, junior. Is that like most of them? Maybe is there even more? I don't know.
Probably.
But yeah, they're coming out with all these like stripped down versions of these games. At least in particular, that's the junior one, right?
Yeah.
So you take, a game, and then you remove, let's say, like half the difficulty or half the planning and so forth, and then you make it more accessible, for younger players potentially. And then you have the duet and the duel games, right? They take the game and they make it for two players, and usually a lot simpler, right? I don't know if
Hmm.
there's too many that are actually equal in terms of that. And then we can probably, actually, no, we can lump in two more into this category. So we've got duet, duel, junior. Then we've got the card game and the dice game, right? Because those are fitting in there as well.
And also, I think another one is my first insert game name here,
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
because it's basically a junior.
Hmm.
It's our geared towards younger audiences to get them into some of
Yeah.
these other games.
So that brings up, you know, a bunch of stuff, right? Is like, first of all, is this any different than like Cheerios coming out with 400 versions of Cheerios, right?
Probably not.
Do we really need like strawberry, pineapple, pumpkin spice Cheerios? Like, how many
Someone
more
thinks so.
versions? Yeah, how many more versions are we going to come out with?
The answer is yes. I really do need all these cereals, because the sign on my wall right over here says, yes, I really do need all these board games.
There you go.
So the answer
Yeah.
is yes, we need them.
Mhm. So, with all of these different versions, like, is this like a cash grab, or is this a calculated path marketing wise, because they know that people like us, let's say, who like Splendor, will then go, oh, Splendor, the dice game. I'm going to get it because I like Splendor, or Azul, right?
Yeah.
It's like, is it diluting a game by creating so many different versions, which is just a little bit of kind of the same thing rehashed over and over? Like, any thoughts on that?
I I do think that it can make it a little diluted. I think that's a really good word. And when I think of that, I think of Azul, that there's so many different versions and they're just a slight variation. And if someone's new is coming into it, the market, when they're looking at they're at the store and they're looking and there's like, wow, look at all these Azuls, or look at all these Ticket to Rides. My goodness, how many Ticket to Ride games are there? And I sometimes I think it's a bit much, and I don't see the need. Like I have 3 Ticket to Ride games,
Sure.
and I had 4. I bought one of the small box ones and I hated it. Thought it was terrible. Got the original, got the European one, and then
Hmm.
we have Rails and Sails, which is my family's favorite.
Okay.
Um, and oh, I guess I also have Ticket to Ride Legends of the West. So I guess I have that as well.
The legacy
Um,
game.
the legacy
Yeah.
game.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, sometimes I think it's like it feels like a cash grab, but I guess I think all the Ticket to Ride games and the Azul games and stuff like that, they're still changing some part of the gameplay, but
because some of those are like Ticket to Ride. It has new maps, and people appreciate that because it changes the game up quite a bit.
Yeah, but I don't know. It just seems like there's so many sometimes that it's just like I kind of can roll my eyes at Ticket to Ride. It's like, and I like the game. Don't get me wrong, but I'll go into the store, like my store. Man, it's like they got a whole aisle. It's just Ticket to Ride. I'm like, oh my goodness, and then I think how much space, and I look at all these games that I love that are on my shelf that are not available, and I'm like, well, if you got rid of half the Ticket to Ride collection, you'd have a lot more space to bring in some other games that people might like.
Mm-hmm.
They just sit there and take up so much space. Same, so I like the juniors. I like the My First. I think that's great to get like My First Carcassonne, right? You can have a younger, if you got a young family, and you love board gaming, you can play these with your kids and get them into the hobby with something that's not hard. So I'm really, really do like that. And I don't, we probably need more of that.
Well, here, can I throw something, a monkey wrench into that?
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Here we go, folks. So, have you ever experienced, and this is early on, when somebody gets into the hobby of, oh, my cousin, like, he's a beekeeper. Oh, look, there's a beekeeping game. I'm going to get this beekeeping game to play with him, or for kids. Oh, my kid likes Fortnite. I'm going to get this Fortnite game and we're going to play the Fortnite board game.
Hmm.
There isn't one. I just made that up.
No, there is.
But, oh, there is a Fortnite board game?
Fortnite Monopoly.
Oh, yeah,
There's
it
a
doesn't
couple.
count. That doesn't count.
We have
Anything with Monopoly as the second word does not count. Or following it.
Yeah, Monopoly is a good one to talk about oversaturating the market.
Yeah.
They're probably the worst.
Yeah. No, that's very true. But, I'm just thinking like when you when you have these games that are like, My First whatever or Junior, is that really appealing to the parents to try to push a game on their kids that their kids don't necessarily want to play? Because, we do want to push our kids to play with us. That is the thing. And I'm just wondering if it appeals more to the parents to try to bring their kids into the hobby than, let's say, the kids might actually like. Now, don't get me wrong. There's probably some kids that like those, but who's that? I'm asking, like, who's that really appealing to? Is it the kids or the parents? Because they want their kids to play.
I think it can depend. I mean, I really think
Yeah.
so. Like, if you got young kids and I see a lot of these YouTubers out there that have young families and
Mm-hmm.
they're excited and they're doing their videos and talking board games and playing board games all the time. I mean, kids want to be, especially young kids, want to be involved with their parents all the time. They want to be involved. And if they can play a board game with their parents and it's something their parents love, then they feel like an adult, right? They
Yeah.
are. So again, it's an age thing. The younger, the better. Now, my youngest is 17. He is not a fan. And he kind of rolls his eyes, and I'm like, come on, we're going to play something. I'm making him play because I want to play a board game. And my two older kids who do enjoy playing games, they're away at college. So I know I'll be getting a lot of gaming here in about 3 weeks when those two start
Yes.
coming back home.
Love
But
vacation.
yes. So but it's I think it's a good thing, and I think it can appeal to both the parents and the younger children who are still at that part of like, I want to be with mommy and daddy. I want to play games with mommy and daddy. And it kind of takes you out of the shoots and ladders and the sorry and there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with those games. I mean, that's what we grew up with. But it gives them a very light introduction into a larger world of gaming. So for example, if little Johnny sees daddy playing Carcassonne and he's like, I want to play Carcassonne, well, then you can get my first Carcassonne, and Johnny can understand and play that, and then he feels like, yay, I played Carcassonne with my dad.
Yeah. Yep.
That I think is very appealing, and I think that's great. I don't expect a lot of, now when they're teenagers, you're not going to be playing those, and you're going to be playing the real game, and if kids are going to either fight you or they're going to join in and have fun. So, but I also like it because kids spend way too much time these days on their phones and their electronic devices in front of the TV. So I encourage parents of young kids to go down the juniors or the My First Board games, to give your kids an alternative form of entertainment that's not staring at a screen. And it's a lot more challenging. It gets their brain going, gets them thinking, gets them learning, and I think that's all positive. So I take your monkey wrench and I throw it back in your face.
Touche. Or do you think, there's base games, then they came out with the expansions, and promos. Is this the evolution? Is this the next level from expansions? Because now you're basically taking the same game concepts and you're just either simplifying them, or you're trying to twist it into a two-player way of playing it, or a dice way or a card way. I'm just thinking from the standpoint of, these are three easy buckets for a designer to go with a game, right? Card game, dice game, and then junior / My First, right? So it's three
Right.
easy directions with it. And if they're coming out with these, like, let's say if they have Azul, the dice game, right? That means to me that it wasn't a dice game that was developed organically, right? Just
Right.
that way. It is basically taking a game and going, how can I incorporate dice into this game and make it a dice game? So it's really trying to mold a game into a particular, shape or style.
Right. So, a couple of thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Businesses have to keep growing. You got to
Yep.
keep selling, you got to keep making money, you got to find new ways to do that. So, adding a dice game to something that wasn't originally a dice game, like Terraforming Mars, okay, that was a big, heavy board game, and now there's a dice game available. And I got it. I actually like the dice game. I think it's fun. I like rolling dice. So, I think it's for someone who likes rolling dice, it now allows a dice chucker to play Terraforming Mars in some ways, where they probably won't like the regular board game. There are people that just like chucking dice. There's people who like just playing cards. So it can expand the company's market to more potential customers by giving them a version of a game that is popular in a format that they might want to play.
Mm-hmm.
I think the flip side there goes back to what I was saying about Asmodee or any big company that becomes the man and is controlling too much. Then we might see more of that type of stuff and less original ideas, fewer new ideas or different types of board game concepts, because when you're that big, you've got investors, and those people want to make it, return on their investment.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the thought is more, it's more, the whole company and the plans and all these studios are kind of more dictated by their financial roadmap. And that's the concern I was saying, where you might not get that unique game. Maybe you won't get a Port Royal because we need the next Terraforming Mars the card game, or Terraforming Mars Junior, right?
Right. Yep.
And that's where they're going to say, you guys got to make this instead of something new that no one's ever heard of, like Alhambra, you know?
Hmm.
And that's, I think, the concern for me is if when these companies get too big, then they might just regurgitate these things. Because again, it's all about money. It's they're in it to make money, period.
Yep.
You know, um, and if the hobbyists are such a small group, which I think you're right. I think, yeah, we might be a small group, but which is why companies are trying to get into Target,
Oh yeah.
right? And in the Walmarts of the world, and because that's where your consumers will just pick something up while they're going through the toy section and they see a board game for their kids.
Hmm.
But we're seeing more hobbyist type of games showing up in those stores.
Oh yeah.
But
And then those are the games that wind up at Goodwill, unopened, still in
yes,
shrink.
because they bought them as a gift for somebody. Yep, and they
Yeah.
didn't want it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, it's yeah. I think there's good on both. There's bad on both sides. I think for a company, as long as like Asmodee was saying in that article, as the CEO was saying, he wants the company to become a consumer brand, recognizable for quality and stuff like that. I think you can still pump out your dice games, card games, juniors, whatnots, but you still need to make sure you are investing and putting out original content, and slapping your name on that. Again, as someone who's like myself came in and I was like, oh, I'll get a Ticket to Ride. It's on 13 of the 15 shelves in the store, so it must be a good game. I'll buy a Ticket to Ride. Well, now it's like, okay, I know who Days of Wonder is, and then it's like, oh, well, there's this other game from them, Memoir 44. Ooh, right there. Nope, there.
Work on your left and right.
It's backwards. And then Heat, Pedal to the Metal. These are some games that people do enjoy, and it's like, oh, I wouldn't have picked up a racing game, but the reason I grabbed Heat was because it was from Days of Wonder.
Hmm.
And so it's like, I recognize that name. I know that game's going to be quality. It's going to probably be really fun. And I don't know if it's not my favorite. Um, but it's still, I got it because of the name of the studio.
Sure.
So, and it introduced me to a racing game. And if I want to pick a racing game off my shelf, I'm going with Thunder Road Vendetta, baby. So, because not only is it racing, it's also destruction.
I don't know if that's racing. It is a
It
race, but it's
it
not
is a
racing.
race.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's still a race. But the company's got to find ways to, as we are getting older, and it's the video game industry is the same way right now. A lot of games, they are, think about your kid, and you mentioned, I think, earlier about how they play games.
Yep.
They're in the iPad, I should say the tablet and the phone era. That's where they play their games. Like some play on PC, but like console world is kind of, they're not growing. That's one of the things that the console industry is struggling with, is you have your gamers and their numbers just aren't going up, and they're not getting new customers. They're not getting the younger customers, because those younger people are on their phones, on their devices. They're not on a console. And so that's why a lot of games are, they're trying to appease a younger market, because once we're gone, they have to replace us with the Utes, right?
Yep.
And so they got to find somehow in some way to appeal to them, to build them as a future customer. And I think that's why I like the idea of the juniors and the My First game lines, is that gets them in when they want to be doing like a thing with mommy and daddy. They get in, they get liking that, and then they start advancing and now there's a customer, for into the board gaming world. But rehashing 18 versions of Ticket to Ride, I don't think that's necessary. I think that's where you start to
Right.
run. Now it's a cash grab, or not, and I'm not picking on that game. I'm just using it as an example. I want to make sure we're
Sure.
still getting things like Agueda, Quaxaquedlinburg, Stamp Swap. I can't do this. It doesn't work.
It's over
Stamp
there.
Swap. Rock Hard,
Over
right
there.
there. That's a very unique game from Devere. So we still need those things coming out.
Sure.
So as long as that continues, we can have a happy medium of, kind of appealing to all.
Oh yeah, because the other thing too is, I approached it from I'll say the easier way of like, hey, a company is gonna get cash grab. They're gonna make, they came out with the the base game. It was a hit. Okay, we got to do the duel. Then we got to do junior. Then we got to do 14 expansions. And I'm sure that in some cases that does happen. Like the razor blade companies. They had a single blade, and they worked their way up to 5 blades right now. When's 6 blades? Couldn't they have gone from 1 blade to 6 blades? No. They had a timeline. They go dual, then triple, then quad, and so forth. They got to milk it while they can. But when you have a designer that comes out with a game, whatever it might be, there's often times where during the development process they redo the theme of the game, right? So you can take a game, it's like, hey, I've got this card game that I've been working on for a couple of years, and it's based on trading in the Mediterranean. How about that? And they're like, no, 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 no. We need to develop it. And then they're like, we got to retheme it. So we'll make it terraforming Mars, right? So they can actually take an existing product, an existing IP, and then just take that universe and then lump it onto a game that was something totally different. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be trying to, shoehorn a mechanic and then create a game. That game can definitely be developed, and they just put the theme on it to match a series that they already have. So, I think I'm waiting now for Castles of Burgundy, the dice game. So just saying, Stefan Feld, that one's next.
No, what's next is and I didn't keep it. I didn't keep it.
Was it Sand Castles or something like?
Yeah, Sand Castles of Burgundy or something.
Yeah.
I will.
Sand Castles von Burgund.
There you go. Something like that.
Because we already do have a card game.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
So yes, Die Sandburgen von Burgund.
Yes.
From Stefan and Suzanne Feld is coming out in Q1 of 2025 from Ravensburger.
Yeah, because the original was Die Bergen von Burgund.
Okay. So this is Die Sandburgen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is a kid's game for sure. It's ages 5 and up.
Yeah. I think I will pass on that one.
You're gonna get it.
Don't judge me. I'm weak. I'm weak.
I won't judge you.
Because you're like, I'm going to have my own copy because I'm going to get it before you to taunt you. I know how you are.
Now you can have that one. I'll leave that one for you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be playing Castles of Burgundy next Monday night. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Jealous.
So.
Anyway, so yeah, just an interesting little talk on, duets, duels, juniors, dice, and cards versions of games. And in the end, I'd say bring it all on, because in the end, as consumers, we have the choice, right?
Yeah.
It's better to have the choice and get what we want, especially if it's something that I like. Because, I got to say that, I really enjoy Castles of Burgundy. So I like everything in that series. Will I play them all the time? No. But while I'm at it, I guess I can just say, hey, why don't you guys come out with Castles of Burgundy, the card game that us old people can actually read? Because he uses
There
the
you
tiny
go.
little cards. And I'm sorry, I struggle with it. I need a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, interesting stuff. Anyway,
Yeah, I do
did you?
think I
Yeah,
do feel like there's still too many duels or duets coming out lately. But like you said, if it's not, we can speak with our wallets, and if
yeah,
somebody wants it, as long as they're not shoehorning on like, hey, let's release this and let's just make this a 2-player game and call it Duet or Duel, but not changing anything and it doesn't work, that's what we don't want to see.
yeah.
As long as they're putting some effort into it to make it a very good 2-player game,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, go for it. And hopefully these will be successful, and if they're not successful, then they'll stop doing them, because then people don't want them.
Yeah.
So
And something just occurred to me. The fact that we do speak with our wallets and the fact that they are making these probably says that we are buying them.
yes,
I have been
probably.
known to buy some of them. Don't
I
judge.
don't buy board games.
They
I
buy
got better.
you.
I got.
They just show up. You have a
I,
subscription.
these boxes just keep arriving from certain
Yeah.
retailers. I'm like, where are these coming from?
Your Asmodee West Campus warehouse.
Yeah, I'm just holding these over until they go out to shipping. So,
Oh, good stuff.
yeah.
Anyway, I think that's
All
about it.
right.
Do you have anything else you wanted to add? Or are we good to close it out?
I think we're good to close it out.
All right. That sounds good. All right. That's it for episode 86, I think. Yes,
Question
86.
mark.
Yeah. Because I said 86, what, an hour
Hour
and
and
10 minutes
four.
ago?
Yeah.
So I have a really bad memory. Who are you? What's my name? Anyway, that's it for episode 86. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you all in 2 weeks on the next fun, exciting episode of This Board Game Life.
Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you later.